Yo, what is going on, guys? It is Jonathan back again with the weekly scuffle, and I'm here to talk about UFC 293, one of the biggest upsets of all time, where Sean Strickland, the most controversial ever UFC champion, beat Israel Adesanya. And honestly, it kind of feels like we're living in some sort of weird stimulation, and this is the best way to describe it. Just be like, hey, look who the UFC middleweight champ of the world is, and then that just explains everything. And honestly, I'm kind of shocked that it happened, as are a bunch of other people. Izzy was in that conversation of potentially being one of the greatest 185ers of all time. Potentially one of the greatest UFC champions of all times. I clearly saw the road for that to happen. Of course, it would have required Izzy to beat Sean Strickland, then of course beat Dricus Duplessis, and then probably beat Khamzat and I believe Bo Nickel. And at that point, his resume, and if he were to beat all of them, which wouldn't be guaranteed anyways, would have been like, probably the best of all time. But with that being said, it did not happen. Shock Strickland came in their master class performance, with his weird Philly shell type of style that just so happens to work. And honestly, Izzy was struggling, even though he had the longer reach. Sean Strickland kept finding the jab, and of course that big knockdown in the first round, that kind of just changed the tone of the fight. Still don't know what happened to Izzy. He just kind of got outclassed. There have been no excuses from him, and maybe I felt like his last fight against Pereira, he kind of found himself and he came back after the knockout, and he was him. But then maybe he did more damage the original loss than we had anticipated, and Sean Strickland just kind of came in here. And of course, Sean Strickland, actually, I will give him credit where it's due. He did, after he lost to Alex Pereira via first round KO, he started working with him. I believe they train together now. So, you know, sometimes as a fighter, you have to do what you got to do to get better, and he did, and now he's a champion. Granted, one of the weirdest champions of all time. He's a former, I believe, racist, white supremacist, all of the above. Everything that's happened to him. I hope he's changed his beliefs and everything. But with that being said, this is gonna be a very weird time for the UFC. I know Dana White is fuming right now, and honestly, what's next? Who knows? Probably an Izzy rematch, but I wouldn't mind Dricuss getting a shot at the title, and then Izzy potentially fighting the winner of Khamzat and Paulo Costa. But with that being said, we'll see how all this plays out, and see you next time. Peace.